recording. Everybody's muted except me right now, so that's fine. I just want to know you to know if you want to say something or ask a question, you need to unmute yourself, or you can use the raise hand thing on your participants box. So yeah, today is our test, but I don't want anybody to panic. You have till the end of the day to finish it. You can't work on it all day because there's a time limit on it once you open it, but the test is available until the end of the day. So because 12 noon and 12 midnight is very confusing with AM and PM, even US people often get confused with 12 AM and 12 PM. The test is open or available to start until 11:55 p.m. I put 11:55 p.m. because I thought that's more clear for the end of the day. I don't mean 12 noon. Technically, midnight is 12 a.m. But a lot of people, because 11 is p.m., think 12 is also p.m., and it's very confusing. I think a.m. should start at 1, right? When the 12 is done and they get back to 1, then they should start a.m. But anyway, so we're going to talk quickly about the vocabulary. I'm going to show you just a couple of directions about the quiz. And as I already said, I'm recording, so anybody who's not online right now can go and watch these directions before they take the quiz. And then there's another thing I need to show you also before we go. So I'm planning on this being about 20 minutes only. And then if you're ready at 11 o'clock and you want to start the quiz, you can start right away. The time limit is 80 minutes, so an hour and 20 minutes. So if you start at 11 or 11:15, that should be plenty of time before your writing class. If you have writing today, I know not all the teachers are meeting every day like we are. Or if you feel like you want to review more, or there's too much noise and people at your house for you to feel like you can take a test right now, you can do it later in the evening. I definitely want you to try and do it at a time that's quiet. A time that's quiet and a time where you won't be interrupted, because you really want to keep your focus on the test and have your mind focused and not having interruptions from your family or roommates or other people who live with you. So that's why I'm letting you choose the time that you want to take it. I do want you all to promise me that you're not going to communicate with your classmates about the test. Obviously, if we were taking it in class, you wouldn't be able to talk to your classmate while you're working, so please don't talk to any classmates about it either. That's cheating. But I just want to make sure that's clear, that I don't want you to go sharing other things with the classmates that you see on the test if you take it first. So let's look at the vocabulary first. As I said, many of you already put yours in the folder. I don't remember how many, but I think I had 12 or 14 out of 20 or 19 students. These are the answers. If you didn't do it yet, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that, but I just want to look quickly at the clues. So someone who's reliable is a person that you can trust. They're trustworthy. You can trust them to do what they need to do. So if you have a reliable mechanic, it means they're not going to charge you too much. They're not going to tell you to fix things that don't need fixing, that they're going to be honest with you and straight with you about your car. That means they're reliable. In the papers, that may not have been very clear. The papers just means newspapers. And maybe I should have put newspapers, but in English, we often just say it's in the paper, and that means the newspaper. And newspaper and internet are two types of media. So what this means is that all the different news media people had stories about the princess. Oh, I heard a noise. I was checking to see if someone is, can you see this again now?
Yes.
Okay. Get informed means you want to find out about the change for class. So finding out about something or getting information about something means you're getting informed. The clue for number 4, a lot of people had a different answer for number 4, but something that's in depth has a lot of details. If it's just a general story, there are not a lot of details. If it's an in-depth story, they have a lot of details. So some people mixed up accurate and in-depth. Accurate means they want it to all be correct. So this one is also talking about details, but it's talking about getting the correct details so you don't have any mistakes in the story or any false reports. But I did accept in-depth here. Whoops. Because that does make sense. It's an in-depth report if they had a lot of details. But what I was really focusing on was it being correct. Accurate doesn't work here with a conversation. So you could use, if you switch these, then only number 4 was wrong and number 5 was okay. That's what I'm trying to say. You can look at your own paper. Keeping up with news means you are current with the news. You keep getting the news and make sure you keep track of what's happening in your home country. Feature is just something that's a good characteristics that you notice. And so one of the best characteristics of the house is that it had a large, sunny living room. Now this may sound like a funny way to describe a word. Now that I'm thinking of this, I realize this sounds weird to say a room is sunny. When a room is sunny, what that means is there's lots of windows, so a lot of sunlight comes in. But we don't say it's a windowy room, we say it's a sunny room. So that's kind of a weird English thing maybe. Because obviously the weather can be sunny or the day can be sunny, but you don't think of a room as being sunny. But all that means is that there's good sunlight in there, which is something that US people like to have in their homes. We like to have windows where we can see out and let in lots of light. The print media means it was printed. And what I was trying to imply is that there was a story and a photo that was printed in the media. That wasn't exactly clear, I don't think. A couple people put media in this box, but you already have media here. So there's no such thing as media. So watch out for that. And then access is a way to use or get to something. So that's your clue here. Your library card is the way you access the books and DVDs. You can only use them or borrow them if you have a library card. So that's what all the words are for the chapter 7. We already had gone over chapter 5, I believe. If you don't remember going over chapter 5, I did give feedback on the chapter 5 vocabulary practice this weekend as well, and you can go look at your own worksheet. I can't really remember if I did it, and I don't want to go back and do it again because I didn't really plan time for that for today. Are there any questions about the vocabulary, specifically the words for chapter 7?
I think no.
I know the worksheets weren't totally clear. I tried on the test to make the sentences more clear, especially after giving the feedback on the worksheets. I can kind of see where people are getting confusion. Some of the words are quite close together in meaning, especially when you're dealing with vocabulary on the same topic. You know, we talk about accurate news and reliable news and in-depth news, and what is the difference between all those things. So it's really helpful to think about the specific definition. So in-depth has to do with getting a lot of detail. Accurate has to do with the information being correct. And reliable is related to accurate because in order to trust it, it has to be correct. But it also means that you know they're telling you all the news you need to know. Like you can trust the information that they're giving you, not just correct, but like what's important, what's meaningful, what's those kinds of things. So hopefully it won't be too confusing when you do the test. If nobody else has any questions, I do want to quickly open up the quiz to show you what it's going to be like. And as I said before, you have till the end of the day to complete it, but you still have a time limit once you start. And I put the video for the lecture because you have to do your note taking, and it's more complicated. Obviously, it's much easier in class for us to all watch the video together and you just have your notes on your test paper, but we can't do it that way when we're online. So I hope that you have some patience for this today. The link will show you the lecture, so you'll need to take your notes on a piece of paper. So if you have notebook paper like this is best, either from a tablet or like a spiral notebook. I thought I had a spiral notebook here, but I don't see it. But any kind of notebook paper. You can use plain paper too. It doesn't matter to me. It's just a little bit easier to do notes when you have lines. I also want to remind you to put the topic or the title at the top. That's very important. And then as you're writing your points, you know, it's not fill in the blank this time. And I'll talk about that in just a minute. It's important to make sure you show which are the main sections of the lecture and then which points are the details in each section. So we've talked about that in our note-taking strategies, that you have the main idea sticking out on the left, and then the supporting details are indented underneath that topic. And one of the things I did that you can look at before you start the test, if you want a chance to check that out, I tried to make a video of myself taking notes on the Chapter 7 lecture. I was using my cell phone camera with the tablet that I was writing on, and when I watched the recording, it did not record the tablet. It was recording my face on my camera. So I didn't get to show you that, but I did post the notes. So I want to show you that because I just put that up yesterday. Most of you have probably not seen that yet. If you want to look at that before you take the test, it might be helpful. I am going to just show you quickly now. So in the things for the test, I added this point yesterday. So it says you will be taking regular notes, not fill in the blank on the test. So I have an example of my notes here from the Chapter 7 lecture. You won't get to see me writing them, unfortunately, but you can look at this example, and it's a PDF file here that I scanned after I wrote it. And I would recommend, if you aren't sure about how to do your notes, to open up this Chapter 7 lecture here and follow along what I wrote so you can see. I may have a little more detail than you'll be able to do because I can write a little faster, and of course it's in my first language. But this is the topic up here, right? News media is the topic, and specifically they're talking about how people get the news. So this is the topic, and this is the specific title. I highlighted these dashes, but you don't have to highlight them. I just wanted you to notice that this first section, he was talking about changes in how people get the news. And he said it's significant changes because of the internet. And he gives some statistics. So I wrote down some of the statistics. So because I didn't do a very good job here indenting, right? These notes should be indented over here and not sticking out to the line. I made this mark here to show that this is my main section. So you can do it with indenting or you can do it with marking. He gave a signal word that said this is a really important point, that the number of people from 2000 to 2003 dropped from 70 to 51%, the number of people who use the newspaper. And he was saying that probably now, because we're obviously more than 15 years past this. It's probably even lower. Then he talked about why it's changing, and we watched this in class last week. He had these 3 points. He had these 3 points on the board. It's current, it's in depth. He talked about the internet news being current, being in depth, and being interactive. So I put those in my notes. And those I did indent because I was answering this question, why is news on the internet getting more popular? And then he talks about the downside. And I actually use little bullets here, but you wouldn't have to. It just helps me keep track of my points. And then this final one was his conclusion, that we have a trend or a change moving away from newspapers, and that's giving the newspaper people a lot to think about, like how they do their newspaper is changing because they know fewer people are using the newspaper and getting their news online. So those were all the points, and if you feel like that's clear, you're probably in good shape. If you feel like that's not super clear, go back and open that up on your computer and watch the Chapter 7 lecture and follow along my notes. You can see what I wrote as he was talking. It's a lecture we watched in class, so almost everybody has seen it unless you missed class last Wednesday, so you might want to go back and watch that. So if you feel uncertain about certain things, you've got a little bit of time. The other thing I want to do is show you the test. Just quickly so you can see some of the directions, just to make sure it's clear. Some of you, is there a question?
Yes, I have a question.
Yeah, Boris.
Do you have to send the note taking?
Yep, I'm going to show you that. When we open up the test, there's directions.
Oh.
And I can show you what to do with that.
Oh.
That's a good question. So this is the class website. The quiz is under quizzes. It's going to look a little bit different for me because I'm the, can you see my D2L site?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, hang on. It says I was sharing the wrong window. That's why it kept telling me that it was paused, but I could see it, but that's why. Okay, so it's going to look a little different to me because when I switch my view here to a student, it won't let me see the quiz because I'm not listed as a student in the class. It took me a long time to figure that out because I kept going in as a student to see what it would look like to you. And then when I would open it up, there would be no test there and it said I couldn't look at it. So that's why, because I'm not listed as a student for the class. So the test will be here under assessments, under quizzes. And there's only one here, so that's pretty clear. And it's not open just yet. It's opening at 11:15, but I think I need to change that to a little bit earlier. And it's open till 11:55 p.m. And so I'm going to do what they call a preview, which just means I can go in and look at it without really completing the test. So this is the first page is going to be the information about the test. So it tells you what time you're starting. It tells you the limit. So 1 hour and 20 minutes is the time limit. After you get to 1 hour and 20 minutes, it will stop working. Like you won't be able to type in any more answers. However, everyone should be able to finish in 1 hour. The 20 minutes is kind of like a bonus in case something happens that slows you down and kind of to allow for technology issues. Because I know some of you might have slower internet or something. So 1 hour and 20 should be plenty of time for everyone to feel no stress about it. Because if we did the test in class, everyone would be done in less than 1 hour. We usually never need more than 1 hour for a test in class. It also tells you you only get one attempt. That means you can open the test anytime between these times, 11 a.m. to 11:55 p.m. But once you've opened the test, you cannot go out and come back in. So one attempt means you only open it once. And as soon as you open it, this hour and 20 minutes starts counting. So, you know, if you have 30 minutes after this class, you shouldn't start working on it for just 30 minutes. You have to wait till you have a full hour or more to do the test all at once. You cannot move backwards once you leave a page. So when we open the quiz, there's 6 pages. Each one has between like 6 and 8 questions on it. I don't want to have one long thing to scroll down, so I divided it up into pages, even though they're electronic pages. So you have to be sure, and sure means the same as be sure, that you complete all the answers on one page before you proceed. And it will even tell you if you try to go to the next page, are you sure you want to leave this page, because you can't come back again. So it gives you an extra warning where you can say yes or no. The allocated time means the 80 minutes for this quiz. When that expires, it will prompt you to submit your quiz responses, and whatever you have done so far is what it will submit. So click Start Quiz to begin attempt 1. And the first page is the video. I don't know if you want to do the video first. The problem is you won't be able to come back to this page later. But these are the directions. So this is the link, these blue letters, for the video on YouTube. You can open that. If you click on it, it'll open the YouTube page. And it's on my private page, so no one else can see it. And you can leave this YouTube page open and watch that at the end if you want to. You just won't be able to come back to this page with directions. You recognize that lady. She's been in a couple of our lectures. And she's talking specifically about trends in media. So it's related to the media topic that we did in our book. Then it says you can watch the lecture 2 times and take your notes on a piece of paper. I don't want you to do typing. I want you to do handwritten notes. And then when you finish your notes, it tells you to do this, but you don't have to do that during the 80 minutes. You can just finish your notes and set them aside and keep working on the test, okay? Later on, you need to either take a photo with your camera, or some of you, my printer here at my house, my little Hewlett-Packard printer that's about, 12 inches big, will scan things. So you could do it that way, or you can just take a picture with your phone camera. And then you need to put that into the assignment folder. But again, this part does not close after 80 minutes. So once you have your notes done, I would just recommend setting that paper aside and submit that later, okay? There is a question here, but you do not have to put anything in this box. These 14 points are what I'm gonna grade your notes on. So I just put that in here so it would show up in the quiz, but you don't need to write anything here. Then I'm going to click next page once I finished watching the lecture twice. And it'll say, if you move to the next page, you will not be able to come back to this page. Are you sure you want to continue? And if you click yes, it will continue to the next page. If you click no, it will stay on the page you're on. So I'm going to click yes. And then there's 2 pages of vocabulary sentences. So there's 8 for chapter 5 words. The words are listed here at the top, just like we have on our worksheets. And there's 9 words with 8 sentences. So 1 word is not going to be used. And it's just like the worksheets where you type your answer in the box. And then the next page is the chapter 7 words. Same thing. The words are at the top. One word is not used. So again, it's 9 words for 8 sentences. And these are all the words. And you're going to use each one time and put them in the boxes. Then there's some multiple choice questions about the skills. This is the example language or the important information language. And so this is matching. So if the first phrase says something that shows an example, you want to choose number 1. So you just click on the arrow and you choose 1. If you think it signals an important piece of information, then you're going to click on the menu and choose 2.
One question.
Yes.
If it's like more than 1 or 2, is no problem, right? For the example and the important lecture language.
Yeah, because there's 8 phrases here and there's only 2 choices. So you'll definitely have to use 1 and 2 more than once. So like you could go in here and make all of them number 1, although you might be able to guess the answers are not all number 1. But you can use the same number over and over, yes.
Ah, okay.
And then you go to the next page. And again, every page it says you cannot come back. Do you want to go forward? And that'll give you a chance to remind yourself to check your answers. Then this is the multiple choice for the other skills. So concluding in your presentation, we talked about that. And then when you get to the last page, it's going to be the test survey. Same as we did when we had the paper tests. So how many hours did you study? If you studied a half an hour, you can write 0.5. You know, if you studied an hour and a half, you can put 1.5, or you can do 1 1/2 like that. Well, however you want to write it. There's no wrong answers, so it doesn't really matter how you write it. You'll notice this little thing comes up saving after I put in my answer. It saves automatically. What did you study? You can check as many of these as you want. What was the hardest part of the test? This one you can only check 1. So if I check number 2, then it'll switch my answer over. You have to choose 1 section that was the hardest, and then the last survey question. Then when you're done, you're going to click submit. And it's saying, are you sure you want to submit? So every time you do something to go to the next page or submit, it will give you the chance to answer yes or no again. I'm going to exit the preview here because I don't want to grade my attempt. I didn't fill in many questions. When you finish everything and you've submitted your test, then you're going to go back here to the assignments folder, and there's going to be a folder there for your notes. And that's what you need to make sure you submit your notes to.
So what about if we don't have a scan? Can we send you part of your email?
If you don't have a scan, take a picture of it with your phone, of your paper.
Yeah.
And I still want you to put it in the folder if you can. If you're having trouble with the folder, you can email it to me. But I get so many emails every day, Abdi, I don't want to lose somebody's paper.
Yeah.
So if you can put it in the folder, because you did that with your vocabulary worksheets, I think everybody knows how to do that. And if it's a JPEG file from your phone, so, you know, if you take your phone camera and take a picture of your paper, just try and set up your phone so it's high enough that you can see the whole page. You should be able to fit all your notes on 1 page, but if it takes you 2 pages, you can just send me 2 pictures. But you can upload JPEGs into the assignment folder too. It doesn't have to be a document.
Or like when we finish and we can type in Word and then make a folder and then send it to you.
I don't want you to type your notes. I want them to be handwritten because you can't really type notes during class very well. I want you to do it the way you would if you were in a class listening to her lecture. So with handwriting. Yeah, no typing, please. Any other questions?
Mm,
I have question.
Yeah.
We need to submit or turn in our note sheet in our test time in 80 minutes.
No. You can do that after the 80 minutes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that's why I said when you do your notes, you can just set that paper aside. You can set that paper aside and hang on, I just clicked on something. I need to save it before I lose track of what I'm doing. You can set that paper aside, and then after you're done with the whole quiz and everything's submitted, then you can go turn that into the assignment folder. I would recommend doing it right after you finish the test though, because I don't want anybody to walk away from the test and then forget to submit their notes.
Okay.
Any other questions?
so the video is a two time chance, right?
Yes, you can watch the video 2 times like we did in class.
If we
It's
see
about,
one
I think
like
it's
3
about
times,
8 minutes.
it
I'm
will
sorry?
stop. If we see 3 times, it will stop automatically or what?
Well, I hate to say it, but I really have no way of knowing if you watched it 3 times. The difference is it's gonna eat up more of your time. It's gonna use up more of your time for the test if you watch it a 3rd time. It's only 8 minutes and 40 seconds, so it's actually a little bit shorter. We've been doing 9 or 10 minute videos in class. So it's you shouldn't have any trouble watching it a couple times. The other thing I wanted to say, oh, what was it? Oh, I can't think of it. Oh, yes, I know. I have a phone number. Some of you might remember that I have a phone number that I have set up for students to call me. So I always put that up with the test instructions. And if anything happens, so I was doing a reading test, for example, and one of my students accidentally hit submit test when it was not time to submit the test. She had only finished a couple of the pages. And so she called me right away and she said, I accidentally submitted my test, and of course she couldn't get back in. So I could go in and look at her test and see that she'd only had it open 10 minutes and that she had just closed it about 2 minutes ago, right? And so I knew that she had had this problem and she was telling me the truth. And so I was able to give her a loan. So I have ways to set up the access for each student. So for her alone, I could put up another attempt. I could open hers up to have 2 attempts, even though nobody else got 2 attempts. So I'm putting up this information, and I'll show you in 1 second here as soon as I save this. I didn't put this up before, so I can show you now. So the phone number I'm putting on D2L, I just put it up there. So if anything happens, you can call me or text me a message and I will get it, and I can help you. So if you're having trouble with something or your internet goes out or something happens, I can help you out here. It's opening the screen again. What is going on with my computer? It's so slow. So I'm going to attach the, nope, this is wrong. That's not supposed to say the article. I'm going to attach the recording for anybody who's coming in later who missed class right now, because we only have 2/3 of the people. This is supposed to say the recording for the test instructions. And it says you'll need to upload your notes. And then this is the phone number for me.
Let me see.
So if you put this in your phone or write it down on a piece of paper before you start the test, because once you start the test, this is very important. Once you start the test, you cannot come back to this page and look at the number. You'll have to leave the test to come back to the home page. So I would really like it if you write this down or put it in your phone with my name, so that if you do have a question or a problem during the test, you can call me and I will make sure I stay by my phone the whole rest of the day. Okay, any other questions? This is getting a little longer, so I want to wrap it up. Okay, if you think you're ready and you want to do the test now, or you're going to review now and take the test later, you may jump off. If you have any other questions and you want to hang around, you can ask me. You've got about 12.5 hours before the test closes. But remember, once you open it, it only stays open for 80 minutes. You don't get the rest of the day to finish. If you open it at 3 o'clock after your writing class, you still have to finish in 80 minutes. So find a time when it's quiet at your house and you won't have any interruptions. That might need to be after all the little kids go to bed at 8 o'clock or whatever, or after you get home from work at 10 o'clock, whatever works for you. You have the rest of the day to finish it. And I will stay on for a few minutes if anybody has any questions. The rest of you, good luck. And Wednesday we'll start our new unit. We've just got a few class periods to get through part of this last unit for our last section. But today we're going to focus on chapters 5 and 7.
So can we leave now?
Yes, if you don't have any questions, you may go.
Thank you.
Miss Martha, I have a question actually.
Yeah, hi, Caesar.
Hi, how you doing?
Good.
Thank you. I didn't do the presentation because I don't know if you know that I don't have a laptop. And
Okay.
I found one of my friends, he has a laptop. He's my neighbor.
Okay.
And he has no PowerPoint. So that's why I didn't do the presentation.
Okay. So
And
the rule for the PowerPoint from Century is you can load it onto 3 devices.
Yes, I tried to do it actually, but I didn't find the button on like Office 356, 365. Like there is a button, it said download, but
Yes.
I didn't find it over there. So yeah.
Well, when the announcement that I have that says for downloading it takes you to the website where you download it.
Yes, and they asked me for my Century email and
Yes.
the password. Yeah, and I did all of that.
And it didn't work?
No, it didn't work. I had some problem.
I know why it didn't work, I think.
Why?
So if you remember that they changed all your emails to go.minstate.edu. Did you have to do that at school with Peter?
Yes, I did.
So I think you have to use that one, not the century.edu one.
Yeah, I mean, at the first you have to log in that one. But after that, when they take me to the Microsoft Office website, they ask for my student email.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
I think that has to be the go.minstate.edu email.
Oh, true.
Because the subscription is through Minnesota State.
Yeah.
If you're having trouble, I put information up last week for Peter's Zoom room.
Yeah.
And he knows all about that stuff even more than I do. So you can, he's in his room until 4:30 today. You can just open the link to his room and it will tell him someone came into his room with a question and he'll come and talk to you. But for the presentation, if you can get that to work and do the PowerPoint on that laptop and then have somebody record you, you know, some people held the laptop in front of them. Some people had it like to the side. If you can make a recording, just put that in the folder then for the videos. And I'll still grade it. We won't have time to watch it in class, but it's probably okay. But I'll still get a video of yours to grade then.
Very much. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, Caesar, good luck on your test.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah. Nino, did you have a question? You're muted. If Nino or Tamari, if you're trying to speak, you're muted. Did you have a question?
No, I just wanted